Well, hello there. That's Ziggy. He's a good boy. You're just gonna have to take my word on it. He's a good boy. This is my sort of go-to machine. It's a 68 Sears Suburban, 12 horsepower. And I'm the second owner, and it's 55 years of life. Ziggy, please don't bump the camera. Okay. Anyway, it has mowed grass for most of its life. And it has decided, well, I guess the best way to show you is to get a little bit of a snapshot of it running. Maybe you'll hear what it's doing. Alright, now that we've got the motor cleaned up and ready, it is time to take the old motor out. And honestly, if you're a small engine mechanic or a tractor enthusiast or both, I'm not sure I'd really need to detail how to remove an engine. So for the most part, I'm gonna just kind of hit the highlights as I take this thing apart. Alright. I think there's some kind of rule about not turning your back to the camera, but like, what do you do when you haven't given yourself any choice? So, got all this off, and I have been running this machine for, it's been, I want to say I got it in 2018. Can't remember. I know it wasn't 2019. But it was late summer. It might have been 2017. Holy crap, have I had this thing 6 years? Anyway, I've had it a while now, and I've actually not had to do a lot to it. And this is kind of a testament to a good product. You see, this machine was built in 1968, and the guy that owned it before me mowed his yard with it. And he had a big yard. I think it was like 2 acres, right at 2 acres is what his daughter said. And he would fire this thing up and putt around on it every Saturday. Now, I'm sure it wasn't every Saturday like, you know, predictably. I'm sure there were changes to plan and everything, but that's not important to the story. He passed away after being sick for a long time, so they couldn't tell me how long it had been since this had last ran. What they could tell me is that it had been over 10 years. So I bring it home, and I have to put a carb on it, and then I have no spark. And I'm sitting there going, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Because if you know the Tecumseh engine, you know that it's got a piece under the flywheel, and then it would have a coil right here that would come out to the plug. And if you want to buy those from like another collector or somebody who parts out tractors or whatever, they're $200–300. And I paid $350 for this machine. And I was thinking, you know, it's going to be kind of weird to me to spend nearly as much on just the ignition system as I did for the whole machine. And, well, it's kind of funny because what I ended up doing is there's a website called Overnight Solutions that deals with aftermarket ignition systems for these engines. And the whole kit and caboodle came out to $175. So all of that tossing and turning over the money ended up not mattering because you've already seen the blue ignition coil on this thing. And when we get into this here in a minute, I'm going to show you what's under here. And it's a neat system, and it's worked. Like I said, 5 or 6 years I have been running this machine. And the whole time it's had a slight knock. It just now got so bad that it's time to change the motor out. But this ignition system has never missed a beat. It has always ran. It is. I've never had a single problem out of this engine. I would jump on this machine, turn the key, and take off. It's just one of the things I love about antique equipment is when you get it right, it just doesn't argue. It just goes. So that short story aside, what I'm going to do now is, I think what I'm going to do is remove the starter generator, remove this, and remove the carburetor. And I'm not sure how much of that I'm actually going to put on camera because watching a guy just turn bolts is, well, I mean, it's boring. But I'm going to get a couple little snapshots of it just to show that it's done, I guess. So this has escalated a little bit because I forgot in my infinite wisdom that I had put, I don't know if it's a filter or if it's one of those shut-off valves or whatever, but when I put this new fuel line in, I put something in there because my plan was to pull the fuel line out of the shroud. As you can see, it goes in the shroud and comes out over here. I was going to pull it out and drain into a fuel tank, and I couldn't, so now I got to take the first shroud off, which I was going to do that anyway, but wasn't ready for that in my plan. So here we are, just living in the moment, I guess. But these engines are pretty interesting the way they're put together. You have to take the head bolts out to get in here. Plus, again, it's been a few years. I cleaned all of this up where it was spotless before I put it all together and started using this machine. And I'm seeing an interesting buildup of dust and dirt. So let me sort this mess out, because like there should be fuel just running out of that and it's not. So let's, yeah, it was a fuel filter. Okay. But yeah, no, this was spotless when I put this together. Like, oh, now we're gonna have fuel. Now that I'm on camera, we're gonna have fuel. Is there something going on under here I need to know about? I don't know, but let me get this mess sorted out and we'll come back and look at things. All right. Now that you're really gonna start dripping now that the camera's on? Well, I know what I'm gonna do. So I guess since I'm in here, I'm gonna get a new fuel filter. That'll probably be a good maintenance item, but let's get this flywheel off. Really, bro? Really? Really now? That's your idea of a good time? If it does it again, I'm gonna get really angry and start smashing stuff. Just I'm not gonna do that. All right. I'm angry. Anyway, I gotta go pick that up now. I guess we will show you how to, or I guess I will show removing a flywheel after I, there. All right. I do wish Tecumseh had included larger holes on the flywheel, because these 1/4-20 holes just kind of don't feel like enough. Gotta get this washer. It just feels kind of small for what is ultimately a spot for really, I mean, it's momentary because this is a tapered shaft, but it just seems like I mean, that just doesn't feel big enough for the amount of pressure you have to exert. But they didn't ask me, and it does seem to work, so I'm not going to dispute it much, but I find it curious. It also might work better if I actually turned these bolts. You know what? How about instead of doing it that way, let's let's do it the easier way. You know, it would probably have been smart to run a tap into those holes and clean them out, but, you know, we here at Not Right Enterprises just do everything the hard way. This flywheel popped off really easy last time I had it off, and so I'm gonna attempt it. And if it doesn't work, then we'll get a little more serious, but that one doesn't feel like it's biting quite enough. All right, how are we doing here? Let's get even pressure. All right. Now I need a 3/4 inch socket. Get all your tools together, Matt. Now earlier, I just bumped this and the flywheel came off. So let's see. This one's gonna put up a bit more of a fight. All right. They don't typically recommend using the fins, but I'm biting this at a thick point on the casting. So let's, I'm also not putting, I don't feel like I'm getting scary yet, so there we go. And that's how they come off. Now, if you ever get it down to where you feel like you're just about to really throw the torque to it, it's time to back off and rethink things, because you can and will break those fins off. In fact, I have a flywheel floating around here that has been broken by that very... Can I keep my sockets? I'd like to keep my sockets. Anyway, so that is done. And now I can get to my aftermarket ignition system. And then all that is left is carburetor and the physical removal of the engine from the tractor. I don't know how long this episode is going to be. It being my first one, it's well, it's uncharted territory. But there it is, overnightsolutions.com. That little guy right there has been the source of me getting so many things done over the last few years. And I'm pretty happy to get to transfer it over to a new engine block. Because to me, that just... It's really not that big a deal, but it just makes me happy. But anyway, so I'm gonna, well, let me pop this off real quick. I'm gonna need to get an Allen head wrench to get that circuit board off of there. And once that's done, then it's pull the block off. And I'm going to split this up into two parts, I think, because I'm going to have to get a handful of things to, because I think I'm going to replace seals and just do a general clean-em-ups, because I don't really want to put all this work into this just to turn around and have it leak oil. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there, I guess. These aftermarket carburetors are wonderful as far as reliability, but they're not really built to the same spec as the original, and I don't know why there's not an original carburetor like reproduction out there. It would be so cool, because there's some notable differences in these cars, and I'll detail them at some point, but it's really kind of infuriating, to be honest, because the inside nut, the one I'm currently working on, you have to kind of mill away bits of the aluminum to make it fit. And whoever thought that up, they need to be informed that their status as a person needs to be revoked, because this is unprofessional. But wow, that thing is clean as a whistle in there. Holy cow. How is that even possible? I guess that old air filter was working after all. That carburetor is spotless. And so is our intake. Wow. I'm going to call it 6 years. 6 years of running this machine. And the kitty cat's back. Yeah, 6 years of running this machine. And it has been perfect. Alright, well, at this point I'm going to get the bolts loose and then we will lift it off the frame. Okay, now, this piece is kind of important because it's sort of the upper structure, because you have 5 bolts, I think on this one actually 6, plus this rod down here, and then this up here sort of reinforces the chassis through the engine, and it's kind of important. So if you're ever working on a Sears, you need this. They'll be okay without them, but you're better off with them, especially if you're going to do anything, well, anything heavy with it. But there we go. There's my original engine that has been on this tractor for 55 years. I actually kind of love it. All right, well, I'm going to go edit this up and put it in the cooker and see what comes out. And if I like it, I'm going to post it. If I don't like it, I'm going to throw myself into traffic. Thanks for watching.